Hello and welcome to Illuminate Your Truth. I'm your host, Elena Isis, and thank you so much for joining me today. Now, today's episode is so close to my heart. Oh my goodness. We're going to talk about the black sheep path. And in this episode, we're going to touch on some things that I've never actually heard people touch on whenever they talk about black sheep. We're going to talk about how they can be ostracized in different ways. I'm going to share a few examples as far as my life, so I can share that with you all. So we're going to talk about the different ways that black sheep can be ostracized, and then we're going to dive into what black sheep are capable of doing and as far as healing their ancestral lineage goes. I don't ever hear people talking about this in regards to deep healing ancestral work on a quantum level, and so we're going to dive into that too. So let's go. All right, so the first question that we have for this episode is, why are black sheep ostracized from their families? Because that's a common trend, black sheep being ostracized by their families first. I know I experienced this. I was raised in a super religious household, and my family were Jehovah's Witnesses. And so I rejected that. When I was 21, I was ostracized. I was kicked out of the religion, kicked out of my family, and everybody that I'd ever known since I was born, I lost. And so I used to tell people I lost everybody that I'd ever known and loved in one day. That was how I started out my being ostracized. So black sheep are usually ostracized from their families first because they reject the trauma, the pattern, the negative patterns, the control. They reject it and they see it, where a lot of family members will pretend that they don't see it and they'll just keep living for the family, living for the people that they love, and they will neglect themselves in doing that. So black sheep are usually ostracized from their family first. And I actually feel like we lose our family first to prepare us for all the other huge losses that we're going to have in our life. I really do feel that, because you're going to have more than one loss. Your family's going to be your first loss, and that's to prepare you for a multitude of losses. So yeah, we have to start thinking of these losses or these situations where we're being ostracized as initiations, because they are initiations into the highest version of ourselves. So every time we have a major loss, it's just another initiation into something better, into something higher for ourselves. But as a black sheep, you will be rejected by your family. You will also be rejected by friends. You will be rejected by spiritual groups, spiritual communities, religious groups, and religious communities. I've been rejected by all of these things. Now, you may be asking, why does God isolate us? Why are we isolated? Well, you're isolated so that you can focus on yourself, so that you can focus on your healing, and not only your healing, but healing your ancestors, healing your ancestral lineage. That kind of work is work that only you can do. You can't hire someone to do that for you. I mean, you can get energy work done to help release energetic traumas. Yes, that's to an extent, but a lot of the work is up to you. You are the bridge between your ancestors and yourself, and you're the only one who can see, heal, transform that trauma. So isolation is definitely a part of the path, because you have to do that on your own. You have to be alone a lot. Why do you have to be alone a lot? Because you have to go deep. Let's talk about the untapped potential that is within you. All right. What do I mean by deep work, deep ancestral healing work? Okay, first off, you're probably the strongest one mentally in your family and spiritually. Just saying, you're probably the strongest one. Why? Because you are going to be able to see, feel, experience the traumas that your ancestors went through. And that's why having a very solid relationship with your ancestors is very important. I have a multitude of podcast episodes about connecting with your ancestors. Go check it out on the podcast. You are going to be the one who's going to be able to see the trauma, feel the trauma. If you're an empath, you probably are. You're going to have to be able to see what ancestors SA'd other ancestors, what ancestors tortured other ancestors, because guess what? A lot of the trauma came from within the family. A lot of our ancestors traumatized each other. All right. You're going to have to mediate healing sessions between them. You're going to have to get grandma and her grandson together to mediate their trauma energetically in the astral realm. You're going to have to facilitate these conversations between your ancestors so that they can work out the issues that they had with each other that they weren't able to work out when they were on Earth. You're going to have to help alchemize that trauma. You may have to exorcise demons, entities that may be on the backs of our ancestors, because any ancestor that SA'd anyone usually has a demon or an entity with them, and it's still with them. So you're going to have to learn how to transmute that darkness, transmute that energy, and you're going to have to learn how to call in spiritual guides like Jesus, Archangel Michael, whoever you would want to work with, to help heal their hearts so that they can cross over into the light. And you're going to have to learn how to psychopomp, cross over the dead. This is ancestral spiritual healing at a quantum level. This is what you step into as a black sheep. This is what you're capable of. And if you never heard any of this, well, there you go. So you can either focus on trying to be validated by man, which is not steady, love you one day, hate you the next, or you could choose to be validated by God, who will love you and be honest with you and will love you forever. So you really just have to focus on you and healing yourself and your ancestral lineage. That's why he isolates us, because we need that time alone to do all of this heavy, deep healing work. It's very spiritual, and it really just, you need to be in your own energy so that you can learn how to do this. Now, why is there so much emphasis on healing? Well, because when you face the shadows in your bloodline, when you face the entities in the ancestral line, when you face the dark stuff that your ancestors did to each other, it changes you and it makes you more empathetic. It makes you stronger. It makes you more resilient. It also helps you realize that we all have darkness within us. Now, your ancestral shadow is also your shadow. So don't think that that energy isn't there. Like, it's there. It's up to you to put your fragile ego down, take the mask off, and take a fucking look. You have to take a look. You have to see what they did. You have to see what is inside of you, because you need to transmute that. That's the only way you're going to transmute it. You could be scared of it. You could say, I don't want to look, I'm scared. Okay, well, that's going to work itself out unconsciously in your life. And I guarantee it's going to be ways that you do not like. It's going to be ways that are uncomfortable and not so positive. And so you really need to look within, which is why we're isolating. We need to take time to look within, turn our eyes inward so that we can see what is unconsciously going on within us, within our souls, within our spirits, within our bodies, within us, so that we can see it, transmute it, and just alchemize that so that we can rise and so that our ancestors can rise and so that they can have peace. Now, how does all this healing affect us energetically? So we're saying we're always being ostracized. Why don't people like us? Why do we keep getting kicked out of groups? Like, why? Well, all this healing, all this alchemizing, all of the changes that we're doing with our energy, all of the upgrading, that makes people feel uncomfortable sometimes. Not all the time, okay? Some people are into it. Some people love it. Some people get motivated by you. Sometimes you really inspire people. But a lot of times, people are gonna like you, bro. People are going to hate you. And it's not you per se. It's not you. You can't take it personal. People don't like your energy. Why? Because it irritates their demons. It irritates the shit that they're not healing within themselves. It irritates the trauma, the pain, the suffering within them that they aren't looking at, that they're not turning and looking at. It irritates them. And the effect of that is they probably don't like you. A lot of people won't. A lot of people don't like me, and that's okay. That's why we're not being validated by man anymore. We're being validated by God. So it doesn't matter if people don't like you. It doesn't matter. So you just have to be okay with not allowing that to affect you. All right. It's hard, but it gets easier once you just start focusing on yourself and isolating and being in your own energy. So yeah, you're going to turn a lot of people off. And that's why a lot of groups aren't going to like you, because you're also a leader. You're a leader too. But this deep work isn't for everyone. Not everyone's going to step up to do it, and that's okay. But if you are ready to step up and do it, I say do it. So now we're going to talk about the different ways that Black sheep are ostracized or initiated. Okay, we're always going to turn that into something good because it's not all bad. Now, the first thing that I learned the term for it while I was studying 20th century history, and I was learning about all the communist leaders of the world: Vladimir Lenin, Joseph Stalin, Mao Zedong. And there was this thing that kept coming up with these communist leaders, and I was like, holy shit, I experienced this multiple times in my life, and it is called denunciation. Some of you may have experienced being denounced, or you will experience being denounced. What is denunciation? Well, the definition of denunciation is public condemnation for someone or something. So this looks like somebody being turned into a government official, or like a head of a cult or a congregation. For me, I was turned in by a multitude of people. I'll get into that. But first, I want to talk about how this looks, like how it looked in history. So in history, Joseph Stalin actually used this when he was ruling in the Soviet Union. He ruled from 1929 to 1953. And in 1928, he rolled out this first 5-year plan, which was an absolute disaster, if you ask me. And in this plan, he collectivized agriculture. Now, the collectivization of agriculture is a system where individual farms are actually consolidated into large state-run farms. And the goal was to eliminate private land, so nobody could own land anymore. And it was to increase agriculture. So there would be a large-scale farming at large output. This actually ended up being a disaster. There was a decrease in agricultural productivity, and there was actually severe famine and food shortages across the country. Now, in 1932, there was a famine that was super famous called the Holodomor. Holodomor means death by starvation. And 5 million people actually died during that time. Now, Joseph Stalin had this thing where he would tell people to denounce their family members if they found them hiding extra grain, or if they found them doing something that the government wasn't happy with. And so there's actually a story about a 13-year-old kid. His name was Pavlik Morozov. He was actually a dedicated communist who led the young pioneers at his school. And this group supported Stalin's collectivization of agriculture and the farms. And Morozov actually ended up denouncing his father to the political police, the secret police, and actually had his father sent to a labor camp where he later died. And then after Pavlik denounced his father, his family actually ended up unaliving him. His uncle, grandfather, grandmother, and cousin. But that's one instance in history where where denunciation occurred. Another part in history when denunciation occurred was with another communist leader, Mao Zedong, who was the ruler of the People's Republic in China for 27 years, from 1949 to 1976. And he had two movements. One was called the Great Leap Forward, where he also industrialized agriculture. And then another movement was called the Cultural Revolution. And this was a socio-political movement where he used to purge capitalists and traditional elements from Chinese culture. But denouncing someone was also a ploy for him to unalive people who he didn't agree with their beliefs. There was a xenophobic edge with the Chinese purges in the 1950s. So xenophobia is the fear or hatred of people who are different or perceived to be different from oneself. And there was a systematic element of people being encouraged to denounce their family members and their friends, classmates. And they would have these things called struggle sessions or denunciation rallies, where they were violent public spectacles where people would accuse their neighbors, accuse their family members as being class enemies, and would be publicly humiliated, accused, beaten, and tortured, and sometimes unalived during these rallies. Something a little bit less intense with denunciation was how I was denounced. I was denounced three times in my life. The first time I was denounced, I was 15 years old. Like I said, I was in a religious cult called the Jehovah's Witnesses, and they used denunciation to turn in people who, like, if you saw someone smoking a cigarette who was also a Jehovah's Witness, they would tell you to go turn that person into the elders in the congregation. And so when I was 15 years old, my best friend turned me in for something that I had done. Then when I was 21, a family friend had turned me in for something that I had done. And then when I was 21, my mom actually denounced me to the congregation elders. So I experienced this within a religious cult, which you may have experienced as well, denunciation. So that's one way that Black sheep can be ostracized. The next way that Black sheep can be ostracized are humiliation rituals and smear campaigns. Now, a humiliation ritual, the definition for that is a structured act or ceremony designed to publicly disgrace or shame or demean an individual or a group. Now, I've gone through this multiple times as well, humiliation rituals. Now, one of the first humiliation rituals occurred through the religion that I was in, the Jehovah's Witnesses, and it was with my family. The church actually put me through that humiliation ritual, and I was publicly humiliated in front of almost 200-300 people. The second time I was humiliated was in my home when I was growing up. I was ignored for 3 months as part of the ostracizing, and I was shunned in my own home for 3 months until I couldn't take it after 3 months, and I decided to move out. And then smear campaigns, I've also experienced being part of a smear campaign where people, they make up lies or stories and they tell people these things just to destroy your reputation. I've experienced those as well. Now, humiliation rituals are actually a blessing, and you'll probably be like, what, Elena? What are you talking about? How could a humiliation ritual be a blessing? Well, it's a blessing. Let me explain. Whenever you are publicly humiliated to the point where you just want to hide under a rock and not come out, you have no one to turn to. All right. You will find that people will not try to get your side of the story. They will automatically believe the group or the person who is making up these awful things about you. And you'll have no one to turn to. I mean, you may have a couple of people, but whenever you're experiencing this, you feel like you have no one to turn to. It actually forces you to turn to God and to understand that you cannot trust man to validate you at all. Why? Because you cannot trust them. They will love you one day, hate you the next. You cannot allow yourself to be validated by man. So it actually brings you closer to God and God's validation, because God, he will always love you and he knows the truth, but it brings you closer to God. It actually helps you release the care about what people think. And the people who go and follow the people who are saying the negative things about you and don't try to hear your side of the story, that is God revealing the hearts of those people. How freaking cool is that? God will show you the hearts of the people around you. What a blessing, right? And so you decide if you allow those people back into your life or what category to put them in, or you just cut them off in general. But you get to decide your next move with that. But God has revealed the hearts of those people to you. So humiliation rituals, smear campaigns can actually be a source of growth for you, and they can actually bring you closer to God and allow you to not be validated by man anymore, which is very, very, very freeing, if you ask me. Okay, so another way to be ostracized is just to be ostracized, just to be excluded from society or a group. I've experienced this multiple times as well. When I was 21, I was ostracized from the Jehovah's Witness religion. They call it being disfellowshipped. I was kicked out. I lost my entire family. All of my family are Jehovah's Witnesses. And I lost everybody that I'd ever grew up with in my entire life, family, friends, everybody. I was just gone in one day, and I was like, okay, that's okay. Now I guess I go live my life how I want to live it. But it happens. You're going to be ostracized from your family. It may not be that intense, but you may experience that. I've been ostracized from whole spiritual communities. I've been ostracized from friends. A lot of times you'll be ostracized from friends. They will turn against you. Like, you'll be cool for a while, and then all of a sudden they'll turn on you, and they will start to treat your relationship like a competition, or they will start to get jealous of you. Why? Because you're always rising. You're always evading. I always say, if you listen to this podcast, you're ascending. You're always trying to ascend. You're always trying to be better. And a lot of people don't like that because they feel like you're passing them up. And so a lot of times you'll be ostracized because you are just trying to be a better person. And they think they just want you to stay where you're at. But we don't do that. Like, we don't do that here. Like, we are always elevating. We are always trying to be better. We are always glowing up. We are, right? We're always doing our best trying to be better people. And a lot of times people can't take that because they want you to stay where you are because they're there. But we're not here living for other people. All right? We're not here to live for other people. That's not why we're here. We're not here to do that. We're here to fulfill our mission, which is to elevate, to heal, to grow, to work on healing ourselves and our ancestors and the pain and the suffering they experienced. And it may involve us being ostracized from groups. It just may happen, and that's okay. That's okay. But usually we can't do groups because we're leaders. Usually the leader gets mad at us because they think we're trying to take their spot, okay? But you're not really trying to. You're just, that's your energy. You know, we usually have this kind of authoritative energy within us. Even if we haven't tapped into it yet, you can have this authority to you. And because you're okay with being alone because of all the isolation. And when you're okay with being alone and being yourself and being alone with yourself, it can be intimidating to people who don't love themselves or who are not comfortable being alone or with themselves. It can really trigger them. But being ostracized is usually a part of the path as a black sheep. You're supposed to be alone. That's how you protect yourself. You'll learn that. It's protection, privacy, and being alone and isolating. That's how you can focus on your path that God is laying out before you. Not everyone can handle you. And that's okay. That's okay. Your mission is to be focused. Your mission is to be focused on healing and elevating with less distractions. You're here to make a big impact on this world. You're here to make a big impact on your lineage. And that's okay. That's okay. You don't need huge groups of people to feel included in this world. God is guiding you. God is leading you on your highest path. And that's all you need to know. The one thing that helps me in this life, even though I do experience isolation a lot and being alone a lot, is cultivating really good, healthy, deep relationships with people. Maybe one or two, maybe three people. Like for me, it's like my husband and my children. I love like just cultivating that love and that relationship and that deep love. That is something that's really important. And maybe having 2 or 3 friends that you can also have really deep relationships with. That can be very healing, as opposed to having 10 friends who don't really understand you, don't get you, don't care, aren't growing, aren't really benefiting. There's no reciprocal energy. Like, no. I think it's important to cultivate relationships that are deep and close and healing for you with people who understand you, who see you and love you, because that's going to help you not feel so alone, even though this path is, kind of, you're going to be alone a lot, and that's okay. But work on cultivating these deep relationships because they'll bring you peace. Big friend groups will usually end up turning on you. And that's kind of just how it is. But follow God. Remember to keep your heart open and to never stop loving. But always have boundaries. Boundaries. Very important. But always remember to also keep your heart open because you want to receive love and you want to give love. They can kick you out of the group, but you'll never stop rising, okay? They can kick you out of the group, but you're never going to stop. Accomplish your mission on this planet, and there's really nothing else anyone can say. Forgiveness is big. Always forgive. Forgiveness is huge, actually. That's how you're able to keep your heart open and receive and give love, is to forgive, because this is a painful path. I'm not going to lie. This path is it has a lot of pain to it, but you have to learn how to transmute that energy and not be a victim. You don't ever want to play victim. It's going to hurt sometimes. I would be lying if I said losing my entire family didn't hurt. Like, it freaking hurt. It hurt more than anything in the whole world. And I think that's why I have an easier time letting go of friends, because I've already lost the people that I cared about the most. You understand? And so once you go through that, it makes it a little bit easier to cut people off if you have to. But yeah, it still hurts. It's still painful. But I think you have to try to find the balance and the love and the good that can come out of this path, because honestly, whenever you get into healing your ancestral lineage and healing the suffering and the pain that they went through, and knowing that you did that with the help of God and your guides, and knowing that you helped your ancestors cross over and no one else could. God chose you to do that. That was the job he gave you to do, and you were able and capable of doing that. Wow. It just opens up your confidence in yourself and what you're capable of doing on the planet, what you're capable of doing in general. And you don't need anyone's validation to know that you're a badass. You don't need anybody to tell you that, because you've experienced some really insane stuff. And it's okay to be isolated, to be ostracized. It's all right. It's okay. We're not validated by man anymore, remember? We are not. We're validated by God. We're God validated. He lets us know what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, what we need to continue to do, and what the path is. So if this resonates with you, if you want to step into the highest version of yourself, I say embrace the black sheep path, because it's just going to make you stronger. It's going to help you shine. Embrace the isolation. Embrace that. And try to stay positive and try to learn how to communicate with your ancestors. Learn how to heal yourself. Just heal yourself. Do whatever you got to do. Get a set of tuning forks. Go to a healing session. Do whatever it is that you have to do to start that work. It's all going to look different for all of us. Do what you got to do to start healing. Healing is the main thing. And shadow work, looking within, looking at the shadows, looking at the darkness, looking at the things that are unconsciously just swimming around our depths, causing trauma and issues in our life. You just got to look. You got to be brave and take a look and try to make a change. But being a black sheep is definitely not easy, but honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. It's a truly healing path, and you make a lot of difference, and you do a lot of good, not only for yourself, the planet, the world, your ancestors, but everyone around you, because the more you elevate, the more of a safe space you become energetically, and the more elevated you become, and even just you being yourself is healing to the planet. Even just having a conversation with another person, you can be healing to them. And so continue down the path. I 100% believe in you. I know that you can do it. I know that you are strong. And don't be afraid to look. Don't be afraid to look. Only good can come out of it. All right? Thank you so much, guys. I had a blast. This was such a powerful episode. And I really hope that you got some nuggets there so that you can take home with you and really start to journal and work out some stuff. Do some meditations. All right, well, thank you all so much. Bye for now.